Check test 1 2. How's the audio tonight? Check test looks like it should be fine. Check test. Yeah, okay. Good evening, everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful week. I did. Had a great week. We finally got a little bit of rain, which turned out to be a bit of a problem. Well, sort of. I don't know. What can I say? I had expected the rain on Friday. And so I had the opportunity to go fish on the South Fork of the Snake River in a raft with some buddies of mine. We had a great day, but we got maybe 200-300 on Friday. Saturday we got another quarter of an inch or so. But my brand new tarp leaked, and I ended up with some water damage on the roof of the camper. And so I managed to, strip the tarps off Monday morning yesterday. Of course, it was 89 degrees, and so what I did was I just took a box fan and I put it on the roof over the wet spot. And with that heat, they dried out really fast. I did have one panel warp that I replaced today, using that 5mm underlayment for wall panels. And it gets wet and it's really prone to warping because there's not much to it. So let's go over and see who all's here tonight. Judy Kimbrough's in from Alabama. Hi, Judy. George, aka Dad's, recovering from a motorcycle wreck. That doesn't sound like it's a lot of fun. Vincent RV Life, they're out camping along the Potomac River in Virginia. That's cool. Courtesy of the new WeBoost RV. Excellent. Yeah, that's a good system for sure. Eric Myers is in from Bowling Green, Missouri, or Misery this time of the year. Tom's in. A beautiful day there in Whidbey. 70 degrees, clear blue skies. Sounds like a beautiful day in the neighborhood. George is whining that he's getting behind on his summer tasks. They start wrecking motorcycles. That'll happen, George. Anyway, he usually makes a really long run to Florida every fall. And so hopefully you'll get that in. Judy said they had rain. Let's see. Mid 90s with lows in the 74 degree range from Vincent. It's been, currently 95 at the airport, but nobody lives at the airport, right? Excuse me. Here at the house, from the official weather station, 97. So it was hot today. It was 92 by noon today. But I did have to make a change to my shade cloth because I had to replace another tarp. The story of the tarp, we're not even going to go there. Anyway, George says he caught up on the slide rebuild this weekend. Yeah, thanks. It was, I've been having fun with it. The thing about working with wood that I had forgotten about because I haven't done it for so long is all of the splinters that you pick up. I got a good one today, and I don't know what's going on, but it went in there in my thumb. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. And I think part of it's still in there. It sure hurts. So yeah, excuse me. I had, thank you on the audio. Just a minute here. I have got to clear my throat for some reason. Oh, I know why, because it's still smoky here. Okay. Hopefully that'll get it cleared up. Yeah, it's still a little smoky here. There's a 60,000 acre fire north of me, about 120 miles, and when you get the high pressures going and the circulation's like that, it sucks it right down into us. So I'm a little plugged up today from the smoke in the air. I got your question, Tom, and we're going to talk about powering down in just a minute. Robert Covington's in from Tennessee. Great round town scouter from Columbus, Ohio. Two Feathers in. Hey, Hope you're traveling is going good. If you're still out there on the road, Timothy Norman's from Dayton, Ohio, and Gary D. Anyone with experience with the Royal Power inverters? You asked that question on Sunday, and by the time I got around to answering it, the premiere was over, and so but I did do some research on them, and so we'll talk about those in just a bit. So Tom Downey asks, what's the proper way to power down a coach with lithium batteries? Well, I don't know why lithiums would be any different than a lead acid, but the way I power down my stuff is, first off, I would shut down every AC load and turn off my inverter, and then I would just go out and hit my disconnect and kill the disconnect. And then in the overhead, I would kill the disconnect too. That's specific to us Newmark folks. With the year of coaches that we have, George and Tom and myself, and there's a couple other guys that'll cruise in and out. Occasionally, they have the mid 2000, early to mid 2000 Newmars, and the battery disconnect switch, the Intellitech battery disconnect switch, is the last thing I shut off. But again, I don't think it matters really per se. They're not. They don't. My experience after having had them for 3 years was they're 100% better than, maybe 1,000% better than lead acids. But other than that, I never thought of them any differently than a lead acid. On Gary's question, Royal power inverters. Yeah, I went and looked at those, Gary, yesterday, and they look like fine equipment. The only thing I will mention is that, and we have talked about this in the past, is they have the modified sine wave on their inverters. That's just a little, well, here's the thing with modified versus pure sine. Remember, in your home, pure sine, 60 hertz AC in your home is going to look like a sinusoidal wave. Okay, so it's nice and smooth, regular, one peak every 60th of a second kind of a thing. With a modified sine wave, it's actually square. So it comes up, it peaks, it holds it for a certain amount of time, then it drops back down to 0, or actually minus 110 for a 60th of a second, and then, but the function is square. Okay, so the wave is square versus sinusoidal, nice and smooth. Some equipment doesn't care, but some equipment does. When I say equipment, it could be anything from electric blankets. I learned that one. I was wintering in Colorado, and I thought, I'll be smart and I'll go get an electric blanket. Well, at the time I had a modified sine wave inverter, and the outlet that I was on went through the inverter. The inverter was always in line. So that hot pad, or that electric blanket, wouldn't work. I had a radio one time that didn't work with modified sine wave. So, excuse me. That's the only difference I could see behind them. Other than that, I mean, an inverter's an inverter. It's Fords and Chevys. You definitely get what you pay for. I think the Royal the peak output and a couple of those things weren't what you would find in, say, a Xantrex or a Victron or even a Renogy inverter charger. So you definitely get what you pay for. But the Renogy inverter chargers in that range, the same range that they had the Royals, they were about equally priced. I didn't see a lot of difference, and the Renogy is a pure sine. So I guess that's probably one of the things that's important about inverters, is that some equipment doesn't work with the modified sine wave. Okay, back to the questions. George says, pulling splinters, he uses a hand pump brake bleeder. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea, but I got to think this one might be really deep. So I got to think of, let's see here. Tom Downey, super glue to the silver to a toothpick, wait till it dries, then pull the sliver out. Yeah. I can't see the head of it. That's the problem. I might be able to tomorrow. It might have, it might, because you know how they'll get infected. Anybody who's had a splinter in their finger that they can't get out. Kind of like the same as getting a cactus spine in you. Robert Covington says put a piece of bacon fat on it overnight. It'll draw it out. Cool. George has two more good tips for getting splinters out. Matthew Tola's in from Matthew. From Michigan, soon to be Arkansas. Oh, you're moving to Arkansas, Matthew? Wow. Or you just headed out there on a little vacation. Oh, and Tim's in from Ohio. Hi, Tim. Robert Black is in for a few minutes. He's a few minutes late. Two Feathers says, I've got a big needle. Thank you, Two Feathers. Yeah, that's nice. I use these. Okay. Super fine tipped tweezers. I use them for fly tying. And pulling splinters. I also have a 4x magnifying glass over here that helps a lot. Robert Black says, Westinghouse just released a new compact 3,700 watt generator. Weighs 41 pounds. Wow. Nice. The Sandvan's in all the way from down under, where it's tomorrow, yesterday, today. Hi guys. So nice to have you here. I got back into their catalog a little bit yesterday. Had a few minutes on my hands, and so I watched a couple of their older videos. Just as a reminder, go over and check them out. The Sandvan on YouTube. They're an Australian couple, actually Australian in English couple. And they tour around Australia. They've most recently been in Tasmania. Really fun channel, so go over and check them out. Matthew Tola says, moving for work in our new to us 26-foot bunkhouse. Cool. We're at in Arkansas? Question mark. So, yeah, if you have an RV related question or any question, or you just want to chat, feel free to throw it over in the chat window. If you're shy and you don't want to chat in front of everybody, you can send me an email, trbolin@gmail.com, and I'll answer your questions via Gmail. And if it's interesting and looks like it'd be good to share, then we'll bring it up at the next Tuesday night live stream. Oh, Matthew says he's going to Fayetteville. That's about 65 miles west of where my dad lives. Matthew Tola asks, what are my thoughts on the Camco 2-part roof cleaner and treatment? You know, I think they're good. Here's what I use, okay? Now, this isn't a treatment, but for cleaning, I just use Parsons ammonia. It works great. The thing of it is you got to rinse it right off and rinse it off the coach, especially if you have a full paint, because it'll take the wax off your coach. So what I usually do is or would do, in fact I did it for Rick before I sent him down the road with the RV, is scrub the roof with Parsons ammonia and then rinse, wash the outside really well. So it kind of gave him a quick detail. It had a year and a half of RV storage lot dirt on it. It looked like hell, and I just wanted to see it clean one last time. So with that said, Matthew, the treatment is probably not a bad idea. It might help, add some silicone back into the rubber. As far as the specialized cleaner, I don't know. Since it's a 2-part, you would assume that they work together and they work well. I don't have any first-hand experience with the Camco product, so That's all I can tell you. It's probably a fine product. And I think that treating the roof might not be a bad idea. The roof is the most common place for an RV to leak, and they can leak for months or years before you catch them leaking or before you know they're leaking. So yeah, always good to maintain that roof. Carla Sheaves. Hi, Carla. New name. You're welcome here. Thank you for coming. She says, I've got a wiring issue. No brake lights. No brake lights with headlights on. Rewired my camper with a 7 blade. Didn't help. Sounds to me like you got your brake lights and your turn signals reversed. That would be my guess. So check that wiring. Also check your grounds. Make sure your ground is good. But I think it sort of sounds like, okay, with the headlights off, you have brake lights. Question mark, Carla? If you do, then you've got the brake lights and the turn signals reversed. Voice of experience. If that's not it, I'm not sure what to tell you. Any of the other old gray hairs out there got any ideas on what that could be? Robert Black says he's leaving for their annual river trip next Tuesday, the Guadalupe River in Texas. That is cool. Yeah, I got to spend all day Friday on the river on the South Fork of the Snake River. Oh, and then at the end of September, they're going on Robert's going on his first cruise for your 20th anniversary. Well, congrats. I did a couple cruises. Personally, don't care for them. Round Town Scouter. Yeah, that's a good question too, Round Town. Okay, Carla says yes. I have brake lights with headlights off. Laugh out loud, and turn signals all work great. It's a Ford F-250. Okay, so yeah, check that wiring. It sounds to me like you've got the brake lights and the well. Okay, so here's really the way they work. The turn signals and the brake lights are typically one and the same, depending upon how many conductors you have. But if it's a typical 4-wire trailer type connection, okay, whether you have a 7-pin blade or not, that would depend on the pin out on your pickup. But if it's just 4 wires on the trailer, camper, I should say, which it probably is, the brake lights and the turn signals are shared. Okay, so when you hit your brakes, remember that in those tail lights, typically they'll have one bulb with 2 filaments. All right, and so the brake lights are one filament, and then the turn signals, excuse me, the brake lights, excuse me, wow, the brake lights and turn signals are on the same filament. The tail lights are on their own. And so if you have them miswired, uh, when the headlights are on, the brake lights are on, and the turn signals won't work, or vice versa. Richard Johnson, hi Richard, so nice to have you join us tonight. Excuse me, I'm going to have to clear my throat again. Thank you, Mark. Sorry about that. Okay, so what did I say? That I got to go back and let's read the question. All right. Yeah, lost audio. I was trying to clear my throat. Okay, Richard, I was talking about your antenna, so let's redo that. Oh, Homer. They're easy to change out. Nothing to them. But you want to make sure you've got butyl tape, lap sealant. I prefer Dicor as the manufacturer for both of those. The butyl tape you put underneath the mount between the roof of the Dolphin and the antenna mount itself. Then the lap sealant, once you get everything screwed back together and screwed down, you will put lap sealant around the perimeter of that mount and then on top of all the screw heads. Now, inside of there should be a coax cable, just like your TV cable at home. You should be able to take that apart, put the connector together, and go. In the event that it doesn't have the connector, for some reason the antenna is hardwired, which it shouldn't be, but it could be, then for $12 or $15, you can get a kit. Just cut the coax off, make sure you got enough of it in so that you can re-terminate it. The connectors are really nothing to them. You need a connector, type F, and a crimp. One thing to pay attention to, though, is the coax size. There are two common coax sizes that are used for TV type antenna signals. There's RG6 and conveniently RG58. More conveniently is they are slightly different sizes. So you want to check that. If you have to cut the cable and re-terminate it, you want to make sure you get the right size termination, the right size connectors. And this is a perfect opportunity for a cheap commercial. You can get all that stuff through Amazon using the link in the description of this video. That will take you over to my Amazon store. Then you can depart from there, go anywhere on Amazon, purchase what you'd like. I'll get a small commission. You'll pay the same price. And every little bit helps. I thank you in advance for your support of the channel. Sorry about turning the mic off and forgetting. KX Racer's in. Jay from muggy Pocono Mountains. I can only imagine. Man, he is really doing well. That rebuild, Jay, KX Racer 704 is also, we have the mutual interest of rebuilding a truck camper. And he's been working on his for quite a while. His was far more extensive than mine, although mine has not been anything to sneeze about. I've replaced all of the roof and 3/4 of the walls, but I didn't have to do much with the inside because it was still pretty solid. Anyway, he rebuilt the Jalouse windows. We used to call them awning windows, but you know they're those windows that you turn the little crank knob and they come open like this, you know. So they come open. Well, anyway. He found all the parts he needed and rebuilt those, and did an amazing job. They looked really good. Replaced one pane with some polycarbonate that was busted. They turned out great. So go over and check out his channel too, KX Racer 704 on YouTube. Oh, Mark Ricker says he's getting his Blue Ox put on August 22nd. He says he's psyched. Yeah, it sounds like a good deal, Mark. Mark and I were chatting offline earlier. I guess it was late last week, and he was asking my advice on the cost of his install. And he's got a company there where he's at. They just come out and do it all right there at your house, all the parts and pieces. 2 guys probably can do it in a day. Put in the brake system, put in the trailer light wiring, put on the tow bar base plate, and show you how to hook it up and tow. That sounds like a great deal. Thanks, guys. Robert Black says, but the brake lights and the turn signals are the same single wire, aren't they? Yes. Running lights are a separate wire. That is correct. That's why I say they're reversed. Okay, did you forget how I said mute? Lost audio. Thank you. Turn the audio back up. Got it. No sound. All right, now we're good. 2 feathers. She says, I know we drain the black water first and then the gray to flush out the hose. But what would happen if you drain the black and leave the valve open and then the gray? Would the black tank flood? No. Because there's not enough head. Those 2 tanks, depending upon where they are in your RV, You know, the gray tank may be sitting higher than the black tank, or vice versa. Typically, the way they're laid out, this isn't true of all RVs, but typically the way the tanks are laid out is your freshwater tank will be your largest, and it will be sitting in a stack at the bottom. Then your black tank and your gray tank will be sitting above that. That gives them enough height so that they drain properly. But they're going to be at the same level, so if you stopped it and opened both valves, they would equalize. Okay, so if you each, you know, if the gray was full, the black wasn't, let's say they both end up half full. What it would do is maybe flush up a little bit and go back up into the black tank. But no, it would not flood or overfill in any way. Unless the black tank is sitting on top of the gray tank. No, it would be the gray tank on top of the black tank. And the gray tank was bigger. Which typically they are usually a few percent. Because usually the gray tank fills way before the black tank, has been my experience. Mark wants to know, where is my producer? He's sitting right here. Hand language. I talk with my hands a lot. Yes, I do. Say that again. I did. 2 feathers. Monkey can't hear. Good enough. George, really cleared your throat. Lips moving, no sound. Yeah, completely coughed my voice box out. Words of wisdom lost forever. Carla, everybody, you guys are too funny. Yeah, the dirty little secret. I'm telling you how to get 100 miles per gallon on your 40-foot Class A diesel pusher. Don't drive it. That's pretty funny. Oh, Ben Demby's in from West Palm Beach. Hi. So glad to have you here. Everything you said. Okay, Rod. I think I caught you up, Richard. Thanks. 2 feathers. The rest of her question, is it bad to flood the black tank with gray water and then flush the black out again? No. No, it's not. In fact, you know, that might help you flush a little bit more of the bottom of the black tank. And yeah, I mean, you know, because you're going to get a little water that runs back up into the black tank if you have the black tank valve open and the gray valve at the same time. But it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be enough to make a huge amount of difference. But yeah, as long as you flush afterwards, you're good. But what you don't want to do is open your gray tank, leave it open, and then pull your black tank. Because then you're running the black tank water up into your gray tank. And that's, you don't want to do that if at all possible. So it's time for the half past the hour cheap commercial. If you like this video, please give me that thumbs up. Always appreciate that. Tell your friends about the channel. This is, you know, it's a safe, friendly place. Lots of guys here that have been RVing for a while. You can ask any question. There are no dumb questions, just dumb answers from the host, yours truly. And if I don't have the answer and one of the other gray hairs in the room here doesn't have the answer, then I will take it as a note and look it up and talk about it the next week. Visit my website, trbolin.com. Every once in a while I get new stuff up there that I don't talk about over here on YouTube. Be looking for some fishing pictures to go up on my Instagram. In fact, they might be already up. Facebook, Instagram, links are in the description of the video. And as I mentioned earlier, your support of the channel by visiting Amazon through the link in the video really helps out a lot. And one last thing is on the premiere of the live stream, I have disabled monetization during the live stream. I will turn monetization on. In other words, I will turn the commercials on as soon as this ends. I'll run over the last thing before I go move my water. I'll flip the monetization on, so if you watch it on the live, you don't have to put up with the silly ass commercials. But that's how it works, you know. I mean, I get 3/4 of a penny every time somebody watches one of my videos, so it takes a lot of views to make any money here. So that's why it's so nice to have the Amazon fill in. Also, RecPro, there's a discount code in RecPro where you can get 5% off there. There's a 10% off discount code for Renogy in the description of the video as well. Use the link and then drop my name when you check out, and you'll save 10%, and I'll get a very small commission. So thanks in advance. Okay, he says, I got, Wayne Shimonic. Hi, Wayne. Wait. Okay, yeah, Wayne Shimonic. Could you tell me what you use to wax your RV again? Thank you. Yes, I use Meguiar's, and I use the plain yellow wax. Carnauba is my favorite. And if I'm polishing, if I'm, taking scratches and polishing, and there is a video on my channel about doing that on a full paint RV, I use the Meguiar's 85 and the Meguiar's 205 mirror gloss, mirror shine. Meguiar, again, it's Fords and Chevys. My personal preference, and what I usually always will tell people, is what I personally use and have had good success with it. And my personal success with Meguiar's is outstanding. I religiously use Meguiar's on my rigs and have for the last 20 plus years. And my RV was 18 years old when I sold it, and it looked as good as the day I got it. Better, actually, because I did a full cut and buff on the whole thing that took me about 3 weeks of, cut and polish with 3 compounds and 2 coats of wax. So, yeah, Meguiar's, Carnauba, they call it yellow wax, but the Carnauba is, that's the one I like. Okay, Richard says, I got you on that about pulling cable up from the amplifier through its cockpit in the compartment up through the roof to the antenna itself. Yeah, because, well, you shouldn't have to pull a cable, because if there's an antenna there now, the cable's there. Does that make sense, Rich? And if not, and if you absolutely have to, now this is almost impossible to do, because they will get these cables up in the roof, and they'll go through, they drill holes through beams, or, through roof members sometimes if they're wood framed or steel framed. There'll be holes through it. And it can be almost impossible, unless you get really lucky. You could use the existing coax, the existing cable for the old antenna, and carefully tape and tie it together and use that as a fish string and pull that through. You might find that to be pretty difficult. I don't know why you would need to change out the coax anyway. But yeah, it's, if that's what you need to do, then you might be able to pull that with the existing coax from the existing antenna. You want to be really careful. And it may not work. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. The way they route that stuff up through the roof to get from, where your amplifier is to the antenna, unless the antenna is right above your amplifier, which is super handy. But, they hardly ever do that. They like to put the amplifier over here and then the antenna on the opposite side of the coach for whatever reason. But if the two are straight, or pretty close together, then you can probably use the existing coax. Mark Ricker asks, what's my opinion of those snap pads? It's something you don't need. Okay, if you want to put blocks under your jacks, you're going to want something bigger than the 2 inches that snap pad adds to the diameter or the square of your pads. If you need to block, you're better off to use blocks, in my opinion. The second thing is, snap pads are not blocking so that you can adjust the height. And sometimes you're going to get into a situation where you need to put a couple blocks under your jacks to get things level. And the snap pads aren't going to help you with that. So I think they are a solution without a problem. I personally wouldn't spend my money on them. All right, you're very welcome, Jay. No worries on that shout out. Happy to help you out, man. Love to see you grow that channel. Looking forward to seeing you get out there on the road. Tim Meyer says, the path of least of resistance will empty the gray tank rather than push gray water up the black. That is true, but if there is any resistance to the gray water departing, it will backflow into the black tank potentially. Not very far. Like I say, it's gonna be fairly inconsequential, I think. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Tim. Tom Downey, he's on his Flex Seal kick again. Here we go. Are you getting commissioned on this, Tom? He says it's far superior to seal roof antenna sealing. I Fords and Chevys. I personally like lap sealant. That's what it was built to do, and it's a hell of a lot easier to remove than that Flex Seal. Ben Demby says he's working on 2 roof AC units, pulled the blower motor apart, replaced felt oil seals. AC unit 1, the squirrel cage is a 1/4 inch from air intake. Unit 2 is 1/2 inch and is not moving as much air. Okay, is there any kind of a shim, or can you adjust the position of the squirrel cage on the drive axle? So coming out of the motor, there's going to be the drive axle, or the drive shaft, okay, if you will. And the squirrel cage fan should adjust on that. And if the one that's a 1/4 inch is better than the 1/2 inch, then it sounds to me like you got the fan in the wrong position. And so maybe you need to move that fan in a little bit. So usually, like, there's a set screw on them and they can slide on and off, or they move around on that. So I would make an adjustment. Robert Black, your super chat is just so gracious and kind of you. Thank you so much. He says, a small contribution. Thank you. I appreciate that. How do I get these to be $20 even? Seems it's always $99. I don't know. That's weird. I've noticed that before too. But thank you so much, Robert. Richard says, okay, let's see. Come back to you in just a minute, Rich. Let's see. I'm jumping ahead here. Any opinion on jet black tank flush mechanism? I don't have experience with that one. I had the wand for a long time, and the wands work great. The problem is, you got to put them away. They get poop on the end of them. Oh, I had a poop conversation with a lady on my channel the other day. So the wands, the ones that you kind of just stick down in the tank and let go. The built-in ones are great. They're, I think, as an aftermarket install, they might be kind of a pain in the butt to install. But any tank flush system should be good. I'm not familiar with that one. But any flushing mechanism for the black tank is better than none. Even if you're dumping 5-gallon buckets of water or garbage cans full of water down there, do it. More flushing is better. Oh, Chris, CNS Schoolie Project. He is back on his horse and putting out some videos around his school bus build. I'm a build nerd. If you've been on the channel for a while, I've said that many times. I'm a build nerd. And so I love a good build. And Chris, CNS Schoolie, says he's absolutely loving my build. Thanks, Guy. I appreciate your support, for sure. And it's nice to see your bus coming along. Ben has a question. AC blower motor, what do you think the gap on the squirrel cage intake should be? Well, looking back at your other comment, if the squirrel cage is too far away from the housing, then air's going to leak and it's going to be less efficient. So I don't know your specific unit, so I couldn't say for exact, but what I will say is that if you put 5 minutes into Google your model number of your air conditioning unit and look for technical or technician support manual or maintenance manuals. Those are some keywords that you should look for. You'll probably find step-by-step instructions on how to replace stuff. It usually only takes 5 minutes on Google to find any book or manual. And the technician's manual, typically they can be found. Sometimes not, but a lot of times you can. And they'll give you all the clearances and everything, how to set that stuff up. I don't know for sure. I don't know what I don't know what your AC units are, but I can say that if the one that's a 1/4 inch is working better than the one that's a 1/2, then set the other one to a 1/4. Also, you should be able to see on the drive shaft coming out of the electric motor with the squirrel cage on it. You should be able to see where it was before. Usually there's a shadow on the drive shaft, or there's going to be a spot where the set screw is on the shaft itself, locking it down. And you should be able to find a shadow for that. Let's see here. George, open roads diesel fuel discount, $4.25 a gallon, TA in Wilmington. Yeah, there's another one out there. Somebody else just I saw posted just the other day. Another new one, Mud Flappers or something like that, I think was the name of it. Yeah, I just don't recall right off the top of my head, but yeah, I read something or saw somebody post something the other day about Mud Flappers, and yeah, those discount fuel cards, they're good. I was on I liked I had the Flying J one myself. The nice thing about the Flying J one, of course, is it was tied to your checking account, but basically, you got you could get your fuel for up to 45 days before you paid for it. All right? So let's say you bought fuel on the 15th. The bill comes due at the end of the month. Let's say you bought it on the 16th, because the 15th was like the bill closed. At the end of the month it was due. They debit your checking account. But if you bought fuel on the 16th, you didn't have to pay for it till the end of the next month. So you basically would get 45 days of them carrying you for free and a deep discount on their fuel. I want to say it varied from, depending upon the station, from 6 to 36 cents a gallon. All right, let me just go back here because it looked like I might have jumped ahead. Timothy Norman, thanks Timothy so much for your kind comment. Dorothy's there from Arizona. Hi Dorothy. I'm glad you made it. Thanks for coming aboard. Kevin Tohill, Xantrex Pro XM1000. Yes. Good unit. I love Xantrex. I had a Xantrex in my Class A. I considered Xantrex for the rebuild on my truck camper. Ultimately, I decided to go with Renogy. But I had the Xantrex RM3012, 3000 watt, 12 volt inverter charger. I think it was a 100 amp charger. Yeah, that sounds about right. And Xantrex is good stuff. Xantrex used to be Square D. Okay, Square D is a major manufacturer of electrical equipment. Two Feathers, thank you so much for that super chat. You guys are so kind. Thanks so much. I just can't say thank you enough. Richard Johnson says, thank you. That's exactly what I was wondering, because the original coaxial is damaged and the connection is garbage. I put a new antenna up there. I put a new antenna up there. Oh, I got you. Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, you should be able to carefully pull it back, using the existing coax. Get a barrel connector. Okay, so get a male-male connector so you can tie the two pieces of coax together. That's going to be your strongest connection, because you may have to rank on that a little bit to get it pulled back. You may also break it in the process. The wire itself, the cable. That's kind of hard to break coax, but you can do it. So be careful. But yeah, okay, good. Thanks. I'm glad I helped. Two Feathers says she doesn't have jacks. No, she has leveling blocks that she throws under her tires. Richard Johnson, sounds like I'll just run it up through the engine compartment into the living compartment area. Thanks again. You're welcome. Thank you, Richard. Mark Ricker, you're welcome. Tom Downey, are you sure the cable RG numbers are the same? Yeah, that's a good question. George, a.k.a. Dad, blocks 12-inch wide, ridgy beam cutoffs that have been soaked in the same preservative we use on the log home. Oh, interesting. Yeah, ridgy beam. Yeah, that's... we call those LVLs out here in the West. Tom Downey did his whole roof with Flex Seal. It's great stuff. And he says, no commissions. Yeah, I hate taking it too there, Mark. Ben Demby, yes, you can move the squirrel cage can slide on the shaft. Thinking on adjusting between 1/8 and 1/4. Yep. Yeah, I would try to match the way it was. Even like I say, look for the shadow on the shaft, and you may have to take it in and out 2 or 3 times to get it just right. But yeah, I would try to match the two up, Ben. Matthew told us with me, he says, Tom, I don't trust that stuff. Here we go. We're going to fight about Flex Seal. Next thing you know, we'll be fighting about Fords and Chevys or Dodges. I don't want to exclude anybody if we're going to start, getting people. Oh, CNS Schoolie, Chris, thank you so much, dude. I appreciate your support. That's amazing. Thank you. You're welcome. Let's see. Robert Black, my 2-feather slider has 99 cents on every amount. Strange. Yeah, I think what it is maybe is that I don't have any idea. I don't have a freaking clue. Dorothy Curtis, yes, mud flap. Thank you, Dorothy. Yep, mud flap. Mark Ricker, what about those AC baffles I'm seeing to increase airflow? Seems pretty complicated. All they're doing is just smoothing out the airflow inside the AC system. I was thinking about this because we had a gentleman stop through last week and ask about those airflow, AC airflow, or whatever the ones that he was querying me about. I think if you were to take the time to maintain your AC properly, I have a video on my channel showing you how to do that. But if you keep your AC maintained properly, I think you don't need all that other stuff. If that stuff really was required, you would think the manufacturer would put it in there from the beginning. I think it's a solution looking for a problem, just like those snap pads that you put on your jacks. I think they're solutions looking for a problem. I think they may be some kind of a idea. Somebody gets some marketing money, they put some stuff together, and pretty soon they're selling those things, and you don't need them, in my humble opinion. Tom, here we go. Yeah, we'll just let you guys go. Okay, Kevin Toolhill. Inverter not working. Error code of E05. Suggestions on how to reset inverter. Yeah, completely turn the power off to it. There is a reset button on those Antraxes, and or turn it completely off, disconnect the battery power, let it set for, a minute or two, because there'll be capacitors inside of that will hold a charge. Once you've discharged it, turn it back on, reconnect the batteries, turn it back on, and that'll do a reset. An E05 on those, I don't remember what that code is. I'm sorry. That just doesn't come to me. I'll sit here and stumble bumble around here a little bit, and let's see here. Okay, so the E05 overload error is indicating an overload situation where the primary shore power is still available and getting a redundancy error from your power distribution panel. Most likely the pass-through breaker has tripped on your inverter. So, yeah, that's an overload issue, and check all your breakers. Yeah, just check all your breakers, and if you have to power cycle it, make sure you shut it clear down and let it set for a minute or two. That'll discharge the capacitors. Hope that helps, Kevin. Uh-oh, Robert Black. He's got the right idea. His Chevy holds the Flex Seal much better than a Ford. How much Flex Seal have I used? I've used enough. I helped a buddy of mine with the fifth wheel who was roof was leaking, and we used a Flex Seal on it, and it lasted about 1.5 years, and the leak came back. And we put more Flex Seal on it, and my thing with the Flex Seal is you couldn't get the stuff off, right? Because when we finally went to change his roof out, this has been 15 years ago, 10 years ago, it was right after that Flex Seal commercial started coming on, Seals Anything. We went to replace his roof. We had this Flex Seal on the cowling around the top of his roof, and it was a dirty, rotten beepity beepity beep beep beep. to get that crap off. You know, ultimately we ended up wire brushing it and repainting the cowling. Did I? Okay, so, oh yeah, P.S. I don't have jacks. So I've used plenty of it. I used Flex Seal trying to seal up a broken sewer line or a drain line. And I used Flex Seal on a house that I had with some leaking gutters. And it lasted for a year, and then it started leaking again. I think there's better products out there, personally. But, you know, Fords and Chevys, you know, we don't need to argue about it. You know, Democrat, Republican, Freightliner, Spartan, Jayco, Forest River. You know, it's whatever you like. We're not here to say what's better than another. I will say sometimes that I don't like something, but it's because I have experience with it. And all right, so I'm just scanning the comments here again, trying to catch up. Yeah, you don't have jacks. You use oh, you don't have jacks. Forgot about that. All right, I got it written down now. Now I'll have to really lie if I forget again. Scott Mogich calling in from Cali. Actually out camping. Hello, Scott. Great to have you show up and check in and let us know you're having a good time out there. Tim Myers, an overload situation, primary shore power. Okay, yeah, that's the one I just read. KX Racer, he says, he accidentally let his 12-volt bat bank discharged to 7. Plugged into shore power to fire up the AMS-25 inverter charger. The charger did not turn down. Turned out to be low voltage cutout. I had to get a separate charger to get the volts up before the inverter charger would even turn on and start charging. That seems like not a good system. Are all inverter chargers like this? They can be. It just depends. Usually, there may be, I don't know about your specific inverter, but you want to look for this, the low battery voltage cutout. A lot of inverters will have the ability to disconnect themselves when the battery drops below some amount. Let's say 11.2 volts. On a 12-volt battery bank, I'd go 11 to 11 at the lowest. The LBCO cuts off, and that stops the batteries from getting totally discharged, at least by the inverter. Now, if you had, like, you know, a light on in the coach or in the camper, that'll draw them down to almost nothing. So, yes, that is a common thing, that you would have to bring the batteries up to a certain level, 10.5, 11 volts, depending upon the inverter charger, or the settings on that. And then once you get beyond that, then it will come online and charge. But yeah, that is not an uncommon problem, Jay, KX Racer. Good night, Mark. Thank you for joining us. He hopes he's going to pay the bills this month. You're welcome, Kevin. Thanks for joining the chat tonight. Flex Seal will not stick to plastic or dirt, but it sure as hell sticks to metal forever. Judy Kimbrough, what would you use to seal a window when taken apart? That depends on what part of the window. If you're talking about removing the window, behind the window in an RV, there is usually the butyl tape, and that will be put between the window frame and the side of the RV. Okay, so here's your window, here's the wall of the RV. Slapped in here is going to be a little bit of butyl tape. Okay, and then when you screw the window back in, it squeezes it down. If you're talking about the panes of the window, replacing and removing those, what's best is to get the actual rubber gasket seal that's down inside the track, You can find that. What was the name of that website, Jay, where you got your seals? Partridge, Parkland, something Industries. They have a lot of seal material for RV windows. I know Jay, KX Racer, sorry, got some from them. Remind me what that company was, Jay. I've got it written down here somewhere. Maybe I do. Oh, Pelland Enterprises. Here it is. Pelland Enterprises is a company online. They have a lot of different seals for windows. Short of that, silicone. I would get a good quality silicone. A good quality silicone. Don't buy the $3 tube of silicone at Home Depot. Buy the $10 tube of silicone. Does it make a difference? Yes. In fact, if you're going to get stuff, one more cheap commercial for TR tonight, okay? You can get this from Amazon as well. This is Sikaflex. This is the bomb of silicones, as the kids would say. The best silicone you can get your hands on, right here, Sikaflex. This comes from the marine industry. If anybody knows how to stop water penetration, it's people who work in the marine industry. Okay? Fortunately, our RVs are often called land yachts, but they're not sealed as well as a boat. Pick up your Sikaflex from Amazon through the link in the description of this video, and I thank you in advance for your support. Now, in all seriousness, yes, use a good quality silicone if you can't find the rubber gaskets that came with it. I bet you if you poke around a little bit, though, you can find those little bits of rubber. Alrighty, let's see. Catching up. Hi, Robert Zink from South Florida. So nice to have you here. Okay, look at that. So he came in, I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago. He was commenting, questioning about how to get rid of the sewer flies. And he says, using the BioGeo method, my modification of the Geo method, it got rid of the sewer flies and the smell. Thumbs up, dude. Thank you so much. KX Racer. So you should carry a small charger with you camping in case this would happen, or just use jumper cables from the tow vehicle. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get the charger to turn on due to low voltage. Yeah, I suppose, if you have a generator, then yeah, having a small charger might not be a bad idea. But in a truck camper, space is limited, so you want to try to avoid carrying anything extra with you. You could go from the pickup, your vehicle, but you could just as easily, and this is something you want to be really careful about, is that you may have a charge wire from your pickup to your house batteries in your truck camper, and so you'll be charging when you're driving down the road. That may be a way to go. The problem there is that you need to have some kind of a disconnect that will automatically disconnect if the batteries get too low, because otherwise you could end up with two sets of dead batteries, your truck camper batteries and your truck batteries. So yeah, I know it's a chicken and egg kind of thing. I think it yeah, Jay, sorry, KX Racer is J equals J. I'm not sure about, I guess a small charger would be fine. A 10 amp charger on for a couple hours would probably get you to where you could turn that your system back on. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, Tom says his equipment is set to operate, come on at 12.3 and turn off at 14.2 volts. Tim Myers, Victron, yep. I give up. Okay, a few feathers. What do sewer flies look like? They're little itty bitty, teeny weeny black things. no bigger than the point of that pen. And you'll typically get a face full of them when you open up, when you go to dump your stool in the bathroom in your RV. Typically more of a problem in warm climates. We don't see a lot of them up here in the cool Northwest, but in warm climates, definitely. Arizona, down there, sewer flies are a real problem. Well, they're just annoying, when you think about where they've been. All right, that reminds me. I did get a comment this week and from a lady, and I've had this comment many times, and my pat answer is, every once in a while, okay, so let's just say, do you wear gloves when you dump your holding tanks? All right. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I oftentimes don't have gloves with me. Pre-pandemic, I rarely had gloves with me. So I would always, dump my tanks, take care of my hoses and everything, wash my hands, so on and so forth. Okay, well, I get a comment every once in a while about somebody that just can't believe I'm dumping my tanks without, having gloves on. And then she said that they actually are so worried about it, they put garbage bags on their shoes. Disposable garbage bags, I guess probably t-shirt shopping bags, right? Like you would use in a small garbage can. Because they're so poo-phobic. And she was really indignant about me not wearing gloves. Well, I always equate it this way. Did you always put on a pair of gloves when you changed your kid's Diddy diaper? I don't know what the difference is. Unless you know how to put gloves on and off properly, you're probably going to cross-contaminate yourself anyway. Unless you've been trained on how to remove gloves without contaminating yourself. If you take one glove off and then you take the other hand over and you pull that glove off by the fingers, you just contaminated this hand. So just common sense, wash your hands. I've been dumping RV tanks for 40 years and not wearing gloves, and I haven't died yet. Robert Zink says they use Sikaflex when building boats, and we use it when building buses. Absolutely. The best stuff. Sewer flies have a clothespin on the nose. George, you're too funny. Dorothy Curtis. Two feathers, they look like little gnats. Yeah. Fruit flies are gnats. Yeah, exactly. About that size. Okay. Ian Fox, I still haven't dropped my underbelly. Damn this heat. I am about to finish my scissor jack lift and hold it up while I remove all the hardware. Cool. Yeah, Ian is putting in a washer-dryer combo, and he needs to run some power over to where it's being installed. So he's got to drop the belly out of his brand new 47-foot, Palace on wheels. Really nice fifth wheel that he picked up on the East Coast. He's down in Tucson. If you're still there this winter, Ian, we might get together for coffee because I hope to make it down to Tucson this winter for a month or so. KX Racer. He said he put a 10-amp charger on the bat bank for 5 seconds. That was enough to get the system voltage up high enough for the inverter charger to fire up and start charging normal. Just seems a dumb design. Yeah, well, it's really designed to stop the inverter from drawing the batteries down totally, to getting them that low. It's designed to automatically disconnect itself when the battery voltage gets too low. What you might try, rather than carrying a charger, is a jump pack. If you get one of those jump packs, like a small one, like you would use to jump a vehicle, that might be enough to get just enough juice into that battery to get the voltage up so that the inverter thinks it's good and then fires up and you're good to go. Use the blue tank chemical, no flies after that. Yeah. Robert Zink, what does the underbelly pan protect in a Class A? Well, there's typically not an underbelly pan in a Class A. It's usually the basement, the bottom of the basement. And so it's just the bottom, of the basement. In a fifth wheel, in a travel trailer, the belly pan is that, chunk of plastic, sometimes fiber, sometimes fiberglass, but sometimes fiberboard. that is screwed up to the bottom, and it's protecting all of the utilities. There's drain lines, there's electrical, there's insulation, your holding tank, your freshwater tanks, all that are up there, and that's what it protects in a fifth wheel or a camper. Usually all of that is buried in the basement in a Class A or even a Class C. No, Two Feathers, that wasn't you. This is another lady. I hope it wasn't you. Maybe it was. If it was, I apologize. I didn't mean to belittle you. You know, I just, to each their own, right? I mean, I'm not poo phobic, I guess. You know, I think what happened is that when I was 17, I worked in a nursing home, is what they used to be called. Now they're called care centers or whatever the hell they're called now. And so, you know, I took a lot of care of a lot of older incontinent people, and of course we wore gloves then. But you know, that's because you're in a healthcare facility. Anyway, enough of that. It was definitely me. I'm poo phobic. You are? I can't believe that. Okay, that's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with being poo phobic. Nothing that common sense won't. AJ says, enjoy my discussions and the rebuild. Thanks, AJ. My question is, what brand tires are best for travel trailer, 3,500 pounds? All right, travel trailers, tires, and chassis. My personal taste for trailer tires are the Goodyears. I kept the Goodyears on the tow dolly I had, and I really thought they were good tires as far as the tow dolly goes. Get 8-ply, and 3,500 pounds, that's probably what, about a load range E, something like that. Get an appropriate load range. Get your tire dealer to make recommendations on the load range you should have. But yeah, Goodyear, you know, they make a great 8-ply trailer tire. You want to make sure you get 8-plies. You know, I'm sure that the other manufacturers do. I don't have any first-hand experience, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, if I'm going to make recommendations, it's going to be stuff that I use, and Goodyears are that. On my Class A, I ran Bridgestones R283s, front and rear. And then on my pickup, I've got Michelin's, XLT, you know, Michelin XV, XLT, whatever they are, you know, the light truck tires. And on the Subaru, I have the Geolandar Geotrax. And those Geolandars, I put 75,000 miles on. Wow, 8:10. It says rain coming? Ooh, you got to be kidding me. There's no freaking rain coming out there. The weather guy has been in the mushrooms again. All right, well, let's see. We'll hang out here for just a minute and see if there's any other questions that come in. There's usually a few folks that come in late and want to ask questions, and we're kind of trying to wrap it up, so we'll just hang here for just a second. I'll get my whistle wet. George says he helped clean out cow manure. Shoveled a lot of crap. I agree with you. I did too. We used to put, you know, my dad, we'd go out and get a truckload of horse manure every spring, throw on the garden, you know, composted horse manure. So yeah. Ben Demby says, TR, found a service manual and YouTube saying 1/8 to quarter for a 1999 Coleman AC. Thanks again. Have a good night. Happy camping. Same to you, Ben. Glad I could help. So, yeah, 1/8 to quarter. That sounds about right. Two Feathers was raised on a farm, too. Cow poo is clean, though. Not like human. Okay. To each his own poo. cow or human. All right, Fords and Chevys, Freightliners and Spartans, Flex Zeal and Henry's Tropical. What more can we have as far as comparisons go? Ian says, absolutely coffee on me this winter. Okay, poo to you too. Thanks, Poo Feathers. Question, is there a good place to get a 20-foot, 1-foot awning? From Robert Zink. Robert, I had to replace the awning on Rusty, my 04 Newmar. I believe it was right around 21, somewhere right in there. I got it from Rec Pro. If you use the discount code in the description of this video, I'll get a little commission. You'll pay, 5% less. They'll give you a discount as well. And they ship it to you. The shipping is what gets you on that, because they got to ship a 20-foot tube, right? They just come in a big cardboard tube, big enough to accommodate the awning and the arms and all the mounts. So, that's the big cost on those awnings, is the damn shipping. But yeah, Rec Pro is where I got the awnings for my Class A. Yes, Robert, the awnings I got from Rec Pro was the complete kit: arms, tube, mounting bar, everything. And I like Rec Pro. They've been good. I've bought my roofing from them. I've bought a lot of stuff from Rec Pro. In fact, I just got 500 screws from them the other day for remounting all of the trim strips on the truck camper. All right, so we'll take just a minute to catch those of you up that are still hanging. I am this close to finishing the roof, and then all of the exterior framing will be done. So I have a 12-inch piece of roofing to put on there. And the roof will be done. All of the walls are done. Then I can go around and start figuring out my lighting. I picked up insulation yesterday. I had been trying to, with gas prices the way they are, I had to go get a piece of material. Like I mentioned, I had a little bit of water damage. I had one sheet warp that I replaced. I had to go get that sheet of plywood, so I took the truck out. And I figured while I'm out there, I'm going to get my insulation. I was finally able to find 3/4-inch insulation. I ordered it from Lowe's. And so they got me 9 sheets of the 3/4-inch R-Tech. Was all they could get me. I would have rather had the Foamular. Then also I'm going to be putting a radiant barrier wrap around the entire RV, as well as I got the insulation, the rolled insulation, the 5mm rolls that I'm going to use on the exterior walls. And I should end up with right around, I'm figuring R18 to R20 in the walls and about R16 in the ceiling. I don't have quite as much space in the ceiling and the roof because I am adding 3/4-inch sheathing to the entire roof, because I am putting the solar panels and that stuff up there, and it's too difficult to try to get things arranged and get structure in place so you can screw the panels down. I'm just going to sheathe the whole damn roof with 3/8-inch paneling. Well, because of that, and because I'm reusing the existing material, especially the skin, I have a very limited amount of room that I can make up here or there. So I'm going to add the radiant barrier to the roof, the underbed, that sort of stuff, around the whole outside of the truck camper, where it's not insulated, because that radiant stops heat from leaving and or coming in. All right. Well, it's 8:15, and if there are no more questions, I'm going to thank everybody who sent the super chats tonight. You guys are awesome. Two Feathers, CNS, Robert Black. I just can't thank you guys enough. Your support just means so much. It's great to get, and again, thank you so much. We'll be back on Sunday with part 2 of rebuilding the cab over section of the truck camper, get the front completely done, and then I get started on the roof section behind of the cab over. And So I'm excited. Actually, truth be told, I will have next Tuesday. I will bring in some footage of where I am, because by then I'll have all of the exterior rebuilt. There's probably We're probably up to 4 weeks of delay now in the truck camper series, as to what you're seeing on the truck camper versus where I am right now. And so I'd like to try to give you guys a little sneak peek, a little bonus for joining in and viewing the live stream. So I'm gonna go to the chat window one last time here. Awnings are covered with guards. Some are, yes. And they still come in the tube. It all comes in one big package. Tom Downey. Yeah, I'm sure the awning that was on mine, if it hadn't got ripped off by the wind because I was stupid, they would have been still working just fine. But yeah, I mean, I had to replace it. See you, Tom. Thanks. Tim Myers taking off. Thanks. See you, Tim, next week if you make it. Great. If not, enjoy yourself. Good night, Robert. Appreciate that. Don Gemis. Hi, Don. I've never been in, used, or driven towed any RV. I've always done my own vehicle repairs and house repairs. My plans is to buy a travel trailer for cheap. That means repairs to learn on. Tim Myers says, remember to cut twice and measure once. Oh, no, measure twice and cut once. Bad idea, any advice? No, great, Don. If you have great basic construction skills, rebuilding a travel trailer is not going to be anything different than what I'm doing with my truck camper. So I invite you to check that out. There's 16 episodes on my channel right now. Many more to come of me rebuilding a 1995 truck camper. Rebuilding an RV is going to be very similar. You got to have basic hand tools, basic carpentry skills. Some of the materials you need are kind of special, but you can usually find them. But yeah, feel free to check out the series on my channel here, Don. I think it's a great idea. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. And so, yeah, I would definitely, if you're so inclined, get an older travel trailer, and rebuild it. It's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. And there's a lot of channels out here on YouTube that have done that. I just prefer my own work. You got to eat your own dog food or something like this. How's that saying go? Ambria Lashell. Hi, Ambria. How old is too old? Okay, how old is too old for a motorhome? We're currently looking to RV in a 1992 Pacero. Should we go a little newer? Or have faith this 92 with 40,000 miles will be okay on the road? Now, all right, this is a little more complicated than I want to spend time on tonight, but I will tell you this. Get an inspection of the RV. A 1992 Pacero. Now, I'm going to say some stuff here, and there might be some Pacero lovers out there. Paceros were not known to be the best quality RVs on the road. Depending upon how much you're going to spend, you might find a better coach. The second thing is completely ignore mileage. I don't care if the thing has 10 miles on it. What you want to see is an appropriate amount of mileage for the year of the vehicle. A 1992, if it was used and loved and cared for, should have around 100, maybe 120,000 miles on it. Mileage on an RV has very little to do with whether or not it's going to be reliable. Other than to say, an old RV with low mileage, I can almost guarantee you is going to be mechanically troublesome, more troublesome than one that has more miles on it. Just for the fact is, when they set things and are not maintained properly, things get old and crusty. Oil seals, any kind of a seal, that sort of stuff. They get old, they start to leak, then you got to repair them. And So it's just not about the age and the mileage. I think that's probably the one thing that I need to say. Get it inspected, have somebody that knows RVs look at it. They're going to pick up on stuff that you're not going to know about if you don't have any experience with them. Um, if you can afford it, I would try to find something a little newer and actually something with a few more miles on it. Just make sure that it's been used. Okay, regular maintenance will keep an RV going for years and years and years. But sitting, most folks have a Class C or a Class A, and they might drive them 2 or 3, 4, maybe 5,000 miles in a year. All right, but if you and everybody has drilled into their head, low mileage, low mileage, low mileage, low mileage is better. In motorhomes, unless it's 5 or 10 years old or less, mileage has nothing to do with how reliable it's going to be. Um, Ambria, if you're not in a hurry and you would like to join us next week, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we can talk about this a lot because there's a lot of guys here that have bought RVs and had them for a long time and can tell you a lot of stuff, including myself, that I just don't have enough time to tell you tonight. Just from your first question, look for something newer. How long do you want to keep it? If you're thinking you're going to keep it for 5 or 10 years, look for something newer. I'm not going to, badmouth a '92 Pace Arrow, other than to say Pace Arrows weren't known as the most reliable rigs, and yeah, so there's a lot more to it than what I can explain to you in the few minutes I have tonight. But I would be happy to talk about it next week. If you'd like to join us, I'll put a little note here. And I would be happy to sit and chat with you about this because you're going to be money ahead in the long run. And yeah, Tom's asking some great questions and some good suggestions coming in from our regulars. There's no such thing as a cheap motorhome. Good point. Huge difference in structural qualities. Yeah, there's lots of stuff. We can, I would love to chat with you more about it, Ambria. If you have the time, come back next Tuesday. Thanks. Here we are, 25 minutes after the hour. I usually try to keep these down to an hour, and I've blabbed on for 25 extra minutes, but you guys are still here. We got 27, 26, 24, 25 viewers still connected. I'm happy to stay. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your friends' enemies, tell everybody. Invite them to join. And Ambria, if you come back next week, we will spend some significant time talking about how to pick out a good RV and what are the things to look for, what are the things to avoid. But keep in mind, the first thing to keep in mind is, with RVs, mileage, low mileage doesn't matter. In fact, low mileage is a detractor in an older RV. Ambria, she says she'll definitely tune back in. I do need to find something to get into. His asking price was 8, but we were going to put in an offer for 6. 8,000 for a 92 Pace Arrow. Budget is 15. You could do a lot better with a budget like that, Ambria. Okay? Yeah, with a budget like that, you could do a lot better. And get a lot newer, probably late 19, we could probably get you into the late 90s. But yeah, join us next week, and unless you're in a big hurry, because we could talk about this for 30 minutes or so, and I think a lot of people would enjoy it. But for now, we're going to call this one good. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you next week, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. for the live stream, and or Sunday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time for the reveal of the next truck camper renovation video. Until we get together again, thanks for watching. I sure do appreciate it. Peace. Good night.